but we tried to do like nighttime when people aren't working and they're done
Do you
eating.
do these
Maybe.
like every month or throughout the
Yeah,
year?
we're just we just started because I just started for the PHR. So we're gonna start doing these once a month at least. So this is the
Okay,
first
cool.
one.
Oh,
And we are
cool.
now live.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We're live. There you go.
There we
So,
go.
so I like you said, people are going to be watching this via probably recording it, or because I don't see anybody popping up right now.
Yeah, it says we
Oh,
have
they're on
two right
all
now.
the Twitters.
All right, so we are now live.
Okay.
All right, so thank you everyone for tuning in to our Wager Warriors tonight. We are going to be doing this monthly. Right now, our topic tonight is going to be ownership. So tonight we're going to have some special guests, including Anthony MacDonald from the stable, Canada. We have Greg DeMasi from the Pewter stable with Hall of Fame trainer Kate DeMasi. And we have Todd Mostoller, our executive director of the Pennsylvania Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. We're excited to start our ownership opportunities. So what we're going to get started with is we're each going to go around, and Greg, maybe we'll start with you on fractional ownership and what kind of got you guys started in offering these ownership opportunities.
Yes. So, hello, everybody. My name's Greg DeMasi, Pewter Stable. So we started this, actually it was a family kind of thing where I had some family members, cousins and uncles that kind of wanted to get involved with racing, and we started just putting, family groups together. And from that, we started, Kate had some clients that had individual horses with her. I'm going back 25 or so years. And, we kind of pulled that together, and because of the popularity, we just reached out to other people and it's kind of snowballed from there. A lot of it, it's this success that Kate has had. People know who we are, and it's kind of just fed off each other to where we are now.
Yeah, and Anthony, I know you guys kind of just got started, a couple years ago, and it's really taken off.
Yeah, we get started in the end of 2015. Here in Ontario, obviously, there's quite a difference between standardbreds and thoroughbreds. There is and there isn't. Here at Woodbine, they were under the same program we were, which was called the Slots at Racetracks program, and it lasted for, had to be 2 decades or more, I guess. It was a program in which the racetracks and affiliate casinos stabled at the racetracks worked together, and they ended up sharing the proceeds of the casino. The racetrack purses were quite high, and when the Liberal government came in around 2009, 2010, they were in. They decided they were going to scrap the whole program. So, I woke up one morning as a freshly married man, a baby girl and a mortgage, and the thought of being out of a job. So I didn't really know what to do, and we ended up lobbying the government, speaking at where the politics are done in Ontario, Canada. It's called Queen's Park, downtown Toronto. And from a few speaking engagements there, I somehow ended up getting involved in politics, and very short stint in politics, provincial politics. So I guess that'd be like somewhere between state and municipal for you guys. I ended up representing the Conservative Party here in Guelph, Ontario, which is 130,000 people. I lost, but I, along the way, learned a lot about what people thought about horse racing, what they felt about horse ownership, and whether they even knew it existed. And it didn't take long. It didn't take long after the election to realize that a lot of the people in Guelph, even though we were very close to 4 different racetracks, had no idea that horse racing existed. It was as foreign to them as the ballet. They just didn't know that it took place. And we ended up, my wife and I made a decision. I could go back driving, which I liked, but it was pretty clear it was going to take me away from my family somewhat that I was starting to raise, or we could go a different direction. We ended up taking the knowledge that I garnered through knocking on doors for 2 years in Guelph and putting it to work in the form of a fractional ownership stable. We based the premise of the stable.ca around some key pillars, one of them being communication, transparency, and the ability to bring people out of the community and to the racetracks. And at the time, we didn't know exactly how we were going to do that, but it ended up working out very, very well. You fast forward 7 years, we've won the highest award here in Canada given for horse people, a Campfellow Award. We have almost 1,000 clients that call the stable.ca home daily in 13 countries. We have just over 140 horses in training. Those horses are split between Ontario, Canada, and Ohio right now, with some horses in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Indiana. And we're trying to have more people build their fractional stables. If this industry is to survive, we have to figure out a way to get new blood to the industry, get new faces, new feet on the ground, so to speak, in this industry. And I can't think of another way other than fractional ownership to get more people involved in a happy way. We were talking off air about, the expectations of our stable, the expectations our clients bring with them to our stable. And although most trainers, I don't think, would meet those expectations in this day and age, I believe they can. And it simply is changing the mentality and the thought process of our industry to match what society, what the general public would want and expect from anybody they're in business with. And I think we do the best job we can. We've done the best we can from day one, and we'll continue to do the best we can, because whether it's standardbreds or thoroughbreds, literally the future of our industry is at stake. And the gentlemen that are on the other end, I'm sure, and everybody else that operates a fractional ownership stable, from where I stand as a horseman that's been in this game my whole life, we are the tip of the spear. If we don't succeed, this industry can't.
Yep, definitely agreed. Todd, you've also put together a couple fractional ownership groups and put owners together. How did you kind of get started on, and how did you find people to make these groups?
Well, in my position as the executive director of the Pennsylvania Horsemen's Benevolent Protective Association, I was involved in actually writing the legislation that legalized slot gaming in Pennsylvania. I started in 1999. We passed it in 2007. And with the infusion of purse dollars, I felt that, like the others on the call, I wanted to bring people into the game. But previous to that, you really couldn't do it and expect people think about making having it being a profitable. The goal was not money; it's entertainment. But at the same time, everybody does enjoy profit if it so happens. But it's very difficult to do. But that's where I came up with the concept of Commonwealth New Era Racing, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's a new era, and with my knowledge from a horse standpoint, I just started to made some relationships. Been the same people that have come back. We've had a good amount of success. And what we try to do is play at the upper level, at the stakes level, try to be very selective. We buy young horses. Very rarely do we buy anything that's either not a yearling or 2-year-old in training out of the 2-year-old. But that's kind of the marketing concept or the business concept. And the idea was a new era of racing, because it's a great game. It's on the thoroughbred side, at least, it's the toughest game in the world, but it's the greatest game in the world. And the highs are high, the lows are low, but it's a great sport, and we're just trying to give people that experience and those of those types of opportunities.
Now, you touched base on that you try to start with young horses, and I know, Greg, you guys have young horses and you offer claiming partnerships.
Mhm.
Which one do you prefer, and why do you go with one or the other?
We do both. Right now, I think we're a little more top heavy with young horses. Young horses are, I tell people, I equate it, if you follow sports, it's like a first round draft pick in sports. You're investing in that horse's potential. There's no guarantee of what the horse will do, but the ceiling is much higher for a 2-year-old or a yearling than it would be for a claiming horse. A claiming horse is, if you claim a horse for 10, horse is going to be worth around 10. The advantage that people have with claimers is you get action. Claimers run, 2 to 3 weeks, and you get to see your horse for one run, and people like that. People like the action. With a young horse, it's a different concept. You got to let that horse develop. A lot of babies are ruined because people are in a rush to get them to the races, and you can't rush babies. And with babies, I tell people, with any horse, it costs the same to feed a cheap horse as it does an expensive horse. So you have to kind of really, and I know there's been horses that have come that haven't cost a lot of money that have been very successful, but on the whole, with young horses, you do have to kind of play on the high end and, take your shot there. But we have people that love both. We have people who do both. We have people who have young horses, and while they're waiting for them to develop, they do claimers because they get the action. It's a very individualized thing. With the advantage with us is you're actually having a partnership with your trainer. You basically get me for free. There's no middleman with us. They talk directly with Kate. They come to the barn. It's a little different concept.
Which, Anthony, you guys do mostly babies too, correct?
Yeah, we have some aged horses. This has been a heated debate since we got involved with horses, which one was better. And I think getting new people involved with claimers is a huge mistake. They don't have time to build any roots. They don't have any time to fall in love with the horses or horse racing. It's really just about the here and now. And, it's great to bring them out to the dining room, if you're near a dining room, and watch the race. But if that horse has a few bad outings, something that we as horse people over the years have said, well, he's in a slump. Well, people don't understand that when they don't know anything about horse racing. All they do is see that they put their hard-earned money into something that does not look like it's worth what they had paid for it, and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. And you factor that into 2022, the first thing they do is go on Facebook or Twitter, and then all of a sudden you have this bad billboard for horse racing for no particular reason other than the people that are posting it didn't really understand the game as much as you or me may have hoped they did. Whereas if you get them involved with young horses and then allow them through information and communication, allow them to understand exactly what horse racing is all about and allow them to immerse themselves in the game the same way we did when we fell in love with it, you'll have somebody that at least is interested in horse racing for life. And that's what ends up happening. It soaks into your DNA and it doesn't go anywhere. So for the logical step for anybody is we need to get them in now and get them excited now, where the excitement isn't necessarily just the racing. The excitement is horse racing itself. And that's what we miss as horse people, because we already have it in us, right? We don't know it's there half the time, or we forgot about it. But it's the thing that will always keep us involved with horse racing. And it's the one thing that they don't have. So getting people involved quietly, slowly, and letting them understand the game properly, I think is the most important thing. Having said that, most of our clients understand how we communicate, how we, disseminate our information to them. And they are very educated. They become very educated about the horses. So we do feel a little more comfortable buying horses. We bought a number of aged horses this year. We have a horse racing in the Breeders' Crown on Friday. There's no rush. This industry always seems to be in a rush to go somewhere, and it doesn't need to be.
Yep, which the babies, I know, like we have Harrisburg sale coming up for the standardbreds. Is there something specific you guys look for? Or when you go to a sale, do you have a budget you set? Or how do you kind of decide what you're going to spend? What horses do you want to offer for fractional ownerships?
You want me to go first?
Yep, go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
basically you go, you got an idea what, all my partners, okay, what kind of money are you looking to put in? We get a total that we're looking at from a budget standpoint. And what we do is we actually do everything through the end of the 2-year-old year. I have a number of people that would rather just write one check than being billed monthly. So we kind of project those expenses through the end of the 2-year-old year. And then at that time, we need to have a call, we will. Been very fortunate, very rarely had to call because those horses get to the races and they begin earning purses. But when I go to a sale, I basically am looking for athletes. And that might sound stupid that a lot of people get involved in pedigree in the thoroughbred game. They want to know who the mother is, who the father is. To me, if I find an athlete and they have a superior mother or father, I can't afford that horse anyways. We're trying to buy horses for under $175,000. Used to be $100,000. Now the market has created market on both has really dramatically. So we've had to at least up our top number to get the athletes that we're looking for. But to me, I could care less what that horse's pedigree is. I want to see an athlete in front of me. And we've been very successful in doing that, some obscure pedigrees, and we've been successful with that. But you got to have a team in place that can find those athletes. There are people, once you develop an eye for a horse, there are people out there that have that eye. There are a lot of people that don't. And you're competing against a lot of people that have infinite wealth. And that's to me, that's really the most fun about what I do is I'm competing against horses or against owners who money is no object. I was fortunate to win the Lexus Raven Run in 2014 at Keeneland. Sheikh Al Maktoum had the horse inside of me and his brother had the horse outside of me. For us, for our partners, that's very satisfying because we're just common folk, but we've pooled our resources. We look for those young horses and those horses that can compete at a top level. And we've been successful doing it. And hopefully we can. There's a lot of luck involved, but there's also an extreme amount of hard work, and you need to put yourself in the path of opportunity and let it run you over. But it's very difficult to do, but it's a passion for our partners and myself, and we've been very blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah, and what about you, Greg, when you're looking for horses, or how many horses do you try to have at a time to offer into the fractional ownership?
Again, a lot depends on what the clientele is looking for at that particular moment. We tend to, this year, I think we bought the yearling sale. I'm going to say we bought about 14 yearlings. Last year we bought about 10 or 12 2-year-olds. And it's, as Todd said, it's you're looking for athletes. I tend to forgive some confirmation issues if the horse looks like an athlete. It's not just one thing. It's kind of, and you need an eye. You definitely need an eye. And some people can see the picture and some people can't. So it's just not one thing. It's not, oh, this horse has a great walk, or this horse has a great hip or a shoulder. It's everything. And pedigree does play a factor. It all plays a factor, not just, it all play, it's just not just one thing. And you need a lot of luck. The horses need to stay sound. And, with young horses, it's been, and again, I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing it, certainly a lot longer than Anthony has. I know Todd's been doing it in a while. The negative with young horses, and everything has a positive and a negative. The negative with young horses is you have to take your time with them. And some people don't have the patience for time. We've separated ourselves from some clients because they did not want to give the horse the time it needed. And you can't buy young horses thinking, that you have a time clock on them. It doesn't work that way. And some people get impatient. So young horses, while great, young horses are not for everybody. You need the patience, you need to have the pockets to sustain a young horse. And it's one thing if you have a percentage of 1% or 2%, but if you have 20 or 25 or 50% of a young horse, you need the pockets to support that. It's not just the initial investment. If you're buying a yearling, a lot of 2-year-olds don't run. You have 2 years of expenses to that horse runs. So you have to take that into account if you're going that direction.
Yeah, definitely. Which, Anthony, you've been busy because all our sales are almost complete until Harrisburg sale next week. So do you scout these horses out beforehand, or how many babies are you guys looking to buy at Harrisburg sale too?
Well, right now we have 51 yearlings. We'll probably end up somewhere around 60 or so. Although we're in two different sides of racing, the same things we all look for: an athlete, a horse that looks good. As far as I talk all the time about, forgiving conformational issues if the horse is a good looking athlete. I mean, I think everybody that buys horses or has been in the game for a while. I mean, we've only had the stable open for 7 years, but I've been a trainer for 28. So, training horses on both sides, you do have to have patience, but I think that boils down to communication, right? The way that we unpack our stable to our clients, the way that we bring it to them, the way that we're hands-on and make sure that they understand what is going on. Because as the gentleman is saying, they're right. People do get impatient sometimes, but I think that a lot of that impatience stems from not understanding the entire situation. And yes, some people just get impatient and that game is not for them. But I believe for the most part, if you show somebody exactly what's going on, common sense and people being reasonable will overcome in most cases, not all the cases. So yes, we our yearling sales are over now. After Harrisburg, we'll have close to 60. We'll have close to between 140 and 150 horses in full work, whether that be the yearlings training down or whether that be horses racing at the track. We have a little more healthier mix of the two this year than we have in the past, but that's just a matter of understanding where the horses need to be, where the classes are available, and where they can succeed. We've done a much better job over the last 2 years of doing that than we did in the previous years. So although they're two different industries, so to speak, the horse aspect of it are virtually the same in every respect.
Now, someone's like, oh, sorry, Todd, go ahead.
Listeners, I've had a lot of people always ask me, what do you look for in a horse? And the best analogy I give it, as a human, you were born into this world, you've looked at your entire life. You socialize with them. If LeBron, if you didn't know who were in a bar and he walked, as a human, you think, oh man, there's a serious athlete. That's kind of the analogy when we go to these sales and we look at all these horses based on our experience. We look at a horse and say, there's an athlete. It's the same human for 40 years. Like when you look at horses, as long as we have, that's the analogy. When somebody walks into the bar, they're an athlete. When that horse walks in front of you, it's an athlete. And those are the horses we try to buy. Unfortunately, that's who everybody tries to buy, and that's why they go for in this current market. It's very competitive and very difficult to buy the horses that we want to buy on the thoroughbred side. It's very difficult. Sure, it is on the side. COVID, everybody seems to have a lot of money, which is I don't quite understand. But
Yeah, I definitely think with the fraction ownership on the standardbred side, which Anthony can touch base on this, it's very affordable. So I know, Anthony, when someone wants to get involved, how little or how much can they get involved?
Well, obviously it depends what the horse costs. I don't know. I think this is where the standardbreds and the thoroughbreds kind of divide. I know the one gentleman was talking about, money up front and having small shares in the horse as well. We bill everybody every month, and what we pay for the horses, that's what we sell the horses at. I don't think there's and I know it's common practice in the thoroughbred, on the thoroughbred side of things, you know, for instance, if we buy a horse, we bought a trotting filly for $180,000 in Lexington. You know, her brother just won the Breeders' Crown elimination the other day here and will be one of the favorites in the final. She's worth a lot of money as a broodmare, so there is residual value there. But to buy into that filly, we charged our clients $1,800 US funds, $1,800 per 1% share, which got them 1% of 180,000. Everything that came after that, we bill them out because I want them to understand exactly what they're paying. I don't really like charging one lump sum and then having a bunch of maybes and possibilities in there. If I go to the restaurant, I want to know what I ordered and I want to know what I'm paying for. And we try to make everything we do in our groups as equatable to real life and real life society, the way you work every day, the way you live every day, so that you understand these things. And I just think that by doing this, you get off on the right foot and you build a rapport with people. And that's not to say that any one group or fractional organization is better than the other. We're all trying to achieve the same thing. And some people I know lots of people like the fact that they would go to a place and pay everything up front, but I'd like to do it a little bit different. I like to, as I said, we're as much for educating humans as we are horses here at the stable. When it comes to people getting into the industry, we want to be an easy access portal for anybody and everybody, but that also needs to be, we feel that we're stewards to teach everybody also. When you get involved with this industry, these are the things that you're expected. This is the level of expectation coming at you and coming to us. And I think over a short period of time, people start to get very comfortable with that. And I think that is why we've gone from a couple of clients to, as I said, almost 1,000 in a very short period of time.
Greg, how do you guys kind of handle the costs? Like, can they buy in at 1%, 5%, 10%, and then you determine that how? And then
Yeah, it depends on the level of where we're buying. The higher level horses will do smaller percents. If we're buying a horse for, 100,000, you can come in at 2%. If we're claiming a horse for 10, you'd have to come in at like 10%. Again, it's just a matter of, what we're buying and what we're buying it for. We don't have any markup or management fees. What we pay for the horses, what we charge. As I said, I have a unique situation in that I have a Hall of Fame trainer as my wife. So, we don't charge management fees. My job is to put good horses in the barn, and you're literally having a partnership with your trainer. Our people actually speak to Kate, and they're getting it literally from the horse's mouth what's happening. But yeah, it varies. I have clients at different levels, and I just try to cater to what they want. And if they're looking at a certain level, I'll try to get a like group, like say, okay, we're buying a horse for 100,000. I'll try to get 8 people in for 10% each, and we'll take 20. We always take a piece of whatever horse we buy. So we have skin in the game. People like that. So if we're buying a horse, we're participating at some level as owners as well. And people like that a lot. They like to know that we are actually investing in what they're investing in.
yep, definitely. I agree with that. Todd, what about you? Do you, what costs kind of go into it, or do you have these horses picked out beforehand?
No, it's an auction. What I do is I have my perspective expressed. When I go to the sales, there's a very nice app on Equine Line where you can email, my thoughts on how great horses and ultimately those horses vet. Those are the targeted horses.
No.
On a given day at Keeneland, they'll sell 400 horses. We'll probably have 4 or 5 that pass the vetting. We like the horse physically, and it's just a matter if we can afford don't have a markup. I don't have a markup for anything. Like I said, we do have people that want to pay up front. They want to avoid the monthly bill. I've had a couple guys tell me that's more of an avoidance, so their wife doesn't see them write checks every month.
Yeah, we have the same. We have people who like to pay in advance. And I just tell them, just, write the check and you'll have a credit on your, you have to, again, what Todd's doing, you have to cater to who your people are, if they like to write one check, fine. If they like to pay as they go, fine. You just try to do the best you can to make your people happy.
And a lot of times spend money like I spent, we probably spent $3,000-4,000 vetting horses at the Keeneland sale. And if the value isn't there, we don't come home.
Yeah, you walk away.
Horse day for 10 days, probably looked at 4,000 horses, and I came home with not a horse. But it's not a horse, it's about buying a horse at the right price.
Yeah.
I put my own money up. I buy and I sell that off. And if I don't sell all of it off, I end up owning 30. Now the same partner that I've had here, everybody, we divvied up 10, 15%, it works out, but it's not just about buying a horse. It's trying to buy value. We're all trying to buy value and represent our clients. And it's in this market, it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
Now, if someone tonight wants to get involved with owning, what is like the first step for each of you? So Anthony, you can go ahead and go first. If they want to get involved, how do they kind of contact you or look to see and find out more?
Well, you can contact me or any of our affiliates at the stable. You can contact me at anthony@thestable.ca, like Canada. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I believe we're on also. You can text me, call me. I mean, if you Google thestable.ca, it's pretty easy to find us. And, all those phone numbers, the phone number that's on that site, all over that site is the phone that I'm talking on. And the email attributed to it goes to the phone that I'm talking on. So, we try to be as hands-on. I like to believe that if you get involved with the stable and you get involved with my wife and myself, that one of us should be the people talking to you when you get involved, and we try our very hardest to do that. So, although we're a big company, we try to stay as small as we can, and we try to get everybody we can involved in the stable.ca for sure.
Definitely. Greg, what about how do they get involved with you guys?
Yeah, you could just same thing. You go to our website at pewterstable.com. Just Google us. You'll get my numbers there. Just you'll be talking to me. Everybody that comes into the stable gets to talk to me first, and then gets to talk to Kate. And we're all over the web, and just go to our website and you'll get my cell, and feel free to give me a call.
Thanks. Todd, what about you?
I'm actually different than the other two. I do not look to solicit. The only way that new people come in, it's been the same 8 guys. If one of those 8 guys would come to me and say, hey, I have a friend who's interested, we'll sit down, we'll do lunch, but they're highly recommended by those that are already in it. I would, if people knew that I was the managing partner and they reached out to me, developed a relationship, and they asked questions over a couple months period, and I felt comfortable. But I'm different from most partnerships that way. I do want to expose people to the game, but at the same time, I don't go solicit business. And I've had a lot of people that have reached out to me because of the success that we've had. And, it's just not something that I'm interested in from a standpoint of, not being recommended by somebody whose opinion that I value. Because I used to do that, but I had some bad experiences with individuals that unfortunately thought they knew more about the horse business after 2 months than those of us who've been in 20 years. And we put ourselves in a position we no longer have to do that. And I don't do it. Yeah.
But you were talking earlier too about success stories. So do you have like a favorite story or like a really good one of just one of your fractional ownership opportunities? Todd.
Talking to as far as historically a success story that we had.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to buy a horse that ultimately ended up flatter filly at the 2012 sale at Keeneland. We paid $90,000 for her. She legitimately was the fastest 3-year-old filly in the country. She set the track record at Keeneland. And when they run that fast as a business, it's impossible not to take advantage and put some money in your pocket. And we sold her 2 weeks later at the Stars. the Facet Tips and Stars for 2.35 million. So I would say that's my one
Nice turnaround.
by another filly by the name of Just One Time, who won the Gray and White Madison at Keeneland this year in April. But when we talk about the highs and the lows, unfortunately, she had a stall accident just a couple weeks ago, fractured pelvis, and ultimately she was at New Bolton Center. And this is the lows, and they happen. And she had to be euthanized because she developed laminitis. So I went from a grade 1 winner in April with that last week. When we talk about roller coaster, this is the ultimate roller coaster game. Perfect.
Yeah. Definitely has ups and lows. Greg, what about you? 25 years, you've had to have some
Yeah,
good
we've had,
stories there.
we've had a lot. I mean, there's a lot to mention. I think, I know my wife's favorite horse was a horse called Mary Princess, who we didn't pay a lot for. She wound up winning the Black Eye Susan in Maryland, setting the course record. We kept her as a broodmare. We had her babies. So she's a special horse. She was, I think Kate would tell you, she's probably the first horse that kind of put her on the map. And that race was naturally televised. It was on ESPN. Got interviewed the whole 9 yards, and that's a lot of recognition came to us from that filly.
Yeah, wow. Anthony, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't sold any horses for 2.3 million, but we've sold our fair share of horses for pretty good money. We had a filly we sold at the start of the year this year for a lot of money. I find myself being hesitant to talk about, the money side of it. I mean, the biggest thing for us is getting people involved. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to come and speak in New Zealand and Australia about fractional ownership, about what we do and how we do it. We've retained a number of clients from that continent that are clients right now of ours currently. And, just being involved with so many people that want to experience and fall in love with this game the same way I did is a great thing. We put a lot of miles on. I told you I'm sitting in the parking lot of Mohawk Raceway here. I'm getting ready to warm up a horse in 15 minutes and race it later on. When that race is over, I'm going to drive to Ohio 4.5 hours away, go with many of the 40 babies we have in Ohio tomorrow, then get in the car and go race tomorrow night in Indiana, 5 hours away from there. So there's a lot of work, and as both gentlemen can attest, you get out of this game what you put in. And I think it's nice to have accolades. It's nice to be remembered, but that stuff's for the history books. I mean, I want to live in the here and now and do what I can to try and get as many people involved with horse racing, trying to bolster our game and I'm not looking to get it back to what it was in the 70s. I want to be a part of building the new horse racing. I want to be a part of building a game that is inclusive to everybody and a game that everybody wants to be involved in. And that's what the stable.ca is after. And hopefully one day we'll attain it.
Definitely. Now, what's the first step? Like, what's the advice you would give someone that's getting into the ownership game? What's their first step they're going to take? Including, like, do you have to have special licensing with the fractional ownerships or memberships?
It's a little bit different. I don't know on the thoroughbred side. In New York and New Jersey, it's difficult. If you own 1%, you have to get licensed. So if we buy a horse for $40,000, a good portion of that on top of your purchase price would be getting licensed. So I really wish that the jurisdictions would review their licensing practices and maybe look at it from a fractional standpoint to understand that if we're doing something that is turning people away from this game, we're doing something wrong. And I can assure you that the licensing practices in a number of the jurisdictions are in fact that. I mean, we're probably one of the biggest volume buyers of yearlings in North America, and we steer away from New York and New Jersey if we can. Now, having said that, we did buy some New Jersey breds this year, but again, those horses are purchased by a select group of people inside this massive group of people because the other people don't want to go through the licensing hassles. So places like Pennsylvania and Ohio, if you own less than 5%, you don't need a license, which is handy. It's helpful. But at the same token, I ended up opening up the stable because I ended up seeing from a bureaucratic standpoint what governments are after. They need to see growth. They need to see the industry growing every year. And if we don't have people, if we can't show these new people coming in and quantify those numbers, show them numbers and boxes being checked, then it's like they don't exist. And really, it's handy when Ohio and Pennsylvania make it easy for me to get Tom, Dick, and Harry licensed there, but they don't know that Tom, Dick, and Harry are there. And I think from a logistical aspect, I believe we should, as an industry, find a way to make sure everybody is counted, but at the same time, make it easy for everybody to get involved. And I just think a lot of the licensing ends up being cash grabs across the board, state to state, country to country, and it's not needed. You know, we own horses in Australia. And do you know how much it costs to get licensed in Australia as a group or a person? Do you want to guess?
Zero.
Zero. You're right. Not a dollar. And that's the difference, is that I don't know whether they do it on purpose, so they just didn't, they all sat around and said, this is too tough, we don't want to do it. But, you know, I'm not saying that, again, it has to be zero, but it has to be an amount that won't drive one single human being out of this industry. And right now, that's not the case on the standardbred side. I can't speak for the thoroughbred side, but it is absolutely not the case on the standardbred side. I've had a number of clients leave the industry just because they said, Anthony, you know, I gave 30, you know, I would be buying a horse at $30,000. And if I looked at my licensing costs in that aspect, I'm getting licensed for $20,000 because it cost me $200 to get licensed and $300 to buy the horse. And it just makes no sense. So I really believe that there's things this industry has to do to stop stepping on itself. And that would be a good place to start for sure.
Yep. Greg, what about you guys? What's the first step to get involved?
Yeah, so it is 5% or less for us in the thoroughbred industry. You don't need a license if you're 5% or less. The first step is, you know, if like any consumer, do your homework, check out everything that's available. There's so much online now. You know, you research different partnerships, talk to a lot of different people, and try to make an educated decision as to, you know, where you want to go. The people I talk to that invest with us, I tell them, you know, the walk before you run. You know, make sure you like it, get in, dip your feet a little bit, and if you like it, you can grow. But you know, you have to educate yourself, and you have to be realistic as to what your goals are. If your goals are, you know, I need to make money, and you know, this has got to, you know, pay for, you know, Janie's tuition, well, you're in the wrong business, because that's not realistic. If you're in it to have fun, root your horse to the winner's circle, get your winner's circle picture, you know, make some friends, have a time of your life, then the industry's for you. You know, there's nothing like seeing your horse coming down the stretch with a chance to win. That's, you know, it's a lot of excitement and a lot of thrill, and at a fractional interest, it's, you know, you're minimizing your risk.
Yeah, definitely. Todd, do you have anything to add from a Horsemen's Association point of view?
Not from a Horsemen's Association point of view, but the one thing I do tell anybody, you know, even if they're interested in Commonwealth New Era or not, if you don't put money into this game that you can't afford. I basically say, if you can't afford to burn it, listen, none of us like losing money, but if you want to put 5,000 in, and if tomorrow that's gone, because that's a very realistic possibility. So you need to understand. Sure. Very risky game, but it can be a great game. But don't put money in if you can't afford to lose it. Do not put money in this game, because then all the other things that are going to hurt you down the road, you're going to become impatient. You're not going to give horses the proper time. You're going to put pressure on those individuals that are running the syndicates, and it's not in the best interest of the horse. And really, that's what I think everybody on the call here, the horse comes first. And if you there's a saying in racing, if you take care of the horse will take care of you. And
100%.
We owe it to the animal. These are unbelievable, majestic animals. They need to come first. And it's just the way we need to operate.
Definitely. Very well said. Well, you guys have been great guests. We'll wrap it up here. We did put your information in the comments. So if anyone is interested in getting in on fractional ownerships, your websites are in the Facebook comments. So you can tune in there or check it out and get involved, or feel free to reach out to Greg or Anthony. I'm sure they're always welcome to answer any questions. But
Absolutely.
Anthony, I know you have horses to go warm up tonight and a busy
I
week
do.
ahead. So thank you guys so much for getting on this. And if anyone has ownership questions, feel free to comment on the comments. We'll be checking it weekly, and then reach out to Anthony and Greg. And thank you, Todd, for
No
joining
problem.
too. But I know you're not soliciting owners, so.
My pleasure.
Nice
All right,
seeing
take care.
everybody, and good luck, and be talking soon.
Take care.
See ya.
Thanks.